I've come to help Frodo protect the ring from the ringleaders. Come and join me as we explain some of the things to watch out for. Now, young Komodo, I'm here to help you. This ring has very, very special powers. You are the new bearer of the ring, and you must not let anyone come close to the ring. You must guard it with your life. There are evil forces descending upon the Shire already, and we need to warn you of some of the things that you need to be aware of in this hobbyist. There are some tactics on the dark side that will try to lead you astray. I am here to help guide you, protect you, and be part of your team. You will notice that there are 9 horsemen, dark knights. Let me show you who they are so you're aware of the opposition. Okay, here you can see quite clearly 9 Nazguls. They are also known as, they are also called many other names as well. Their powers are led by the evil side of the Force, and they will try to hunt down the ring, Komodo. So be aware that these are looming, and they are literally on their way. They represent evil, secret combinations, and they are led by Saruman, who is their ringleader, and he has brought together these 9 knights to work on his behalf. And it's very important that you build up a team, a really important team. And if my wig is getting a little bit out of control, my darling, I will have to straighten things up. So, what kind of tactics do they use to get into the hobby? Let us just look at those tactics, and then we will then formulate a new team to combat the 9 Dark Knights. So, young Jared, maybe I could help, you could help us with this. Are there any things that you should be aware of in the hobby to be aware of? Dangers that may be lurking? I understand that you were bitten tonight by your favourite snake, Coop.
It's not my favourite snake as such, but she's one of my snakes. Yeah, I think she thought she was getting ready for some food. Just gave me a nice little nick on the hand, but it happens. You win some, you lose some. But it didn't hurt at all.
So there's one of the dangers. Did it hurt, Jared?
No.
No. Well, sometimes we learn from this. Now, how did it happen? Were you not aware that did she eat last night?
Yeah.
Yes. So what do you think caused the bite?
Just defence. I just opened the tub to have a look at her, and as I opened it, she struck my knuckle.
And what could you have done to avoid that, do you think?
Just not open the tub.
Yes. There is a technique I can show you. If you come with me, I'll show you a technique. Now, I believe that Bilbo gave his young nephew a hook. Let's see if we can show you how to use that. So this is what one could do to protect oneself. So here's the offending snake. You go at the distance and you pull out so that she cannot bite you. Yeah, it's just a simple technique. She looks okay. She obviously doesn't like the taste of your blood, Jared. but that's one way of avoiding one of the dangers of the hobby. There is another way, in case you don't have a hook, which is to come underneath and keep back at an angle like this, rather than the mistake that people make, of course, is they go above and pull out. But these things happen and take you by surprise, so that is one of the dangers. Are there any other dangers in the hobby, Jared, that you would like to highlight, just to help young Komodo with his
Salmonella.
Salmonella? And what can one do to avoid against salmonella?
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands, absolutely. And hence we've given you here some of the greatest protection you could possibly ever use is gloves. A lot of people don't use them, but if you use them you can protect yourself. Rats have this ability to smell, as you know from this morning. They can stay on your hands for days, the scent. So if you use gloves you can eat your food sensibly and not transmit disease. Very important.
Just wash your hands very well.
Wash your hands. So we use disinfectants for that. Any other dangers in the hobby, Jared, that we need to highlight for the newcomers?
Not really.
No.
Not towards us anyway.
No. So there's a couple of dangers. Are there any other dangers outside of the immediate vicinity that one should be careful to watch for?
Not that I can think of.
Let's have a little sit down, let's see if we can identify any issues. And maybe some of your subscribers might be able to share some experiences. I understand that your father, in his keenness to build up his female breeding population, bought a snake from a UK supplier. And I understand with your eagle eyes, Jared, you spotted something not quite right with the snake before it entered the new hobbit hole. What was the problem?
I think it had an RI.
Yes.
And a bit of mouth rot.
It did, and unfortunately your father couldn't see that in the picture. He didn't really do a thorough examination. What's the procedure really to avoid that in the future?
Just make sure that you're in contact with the person you're buying it from.
Yes.
Ask them a lot of questions about it. Where
Yes.
it's from, what it's eating, how long they've had it, the parents, so on and so forth. And then get lots of pictures as well.
Absolutely.
So make sure they get a picture of their mouth, wherever it might be, so you can see that it's a healthy snake.
Yes, so there are people out there unfortunately that might flip a snake and might even flip your snake which carries a disease which could infect your snake pit. Unfortunately for you, you kept it in quarantine and you actually asked the guy to pick up the snake, and he said he was going to pick it up. Unfortunately he never turned up for 3 or 4 days, and I understand that he took himself off market. He closed down any communication and never turned up. And then I understand that you had an important decision to make, Jared.
Did I?
Or was it your father?
I think it was you.
Yeah, I think your father had to make a decision because he wasn't happy being given a snake with an RI or mouth rot issue. So because he couldn't get in touch with the vendor and the vendor just buried his head, he ended up having to report that to the RSPCA, and they recommended speaking to a specialist in, I believe it was in Portsmouth, and you very kindly drove with Nathan and dropped the snake off in their good care. And eventually the vendor did get in touch with us and gave us a pretty lame excuse. We won't say who it is, but we'll just say that this was a pretty shocking experience for us in the hobby. And luckily it's just 1% of the hobbyists out there, fortunately. But 99% are, in my experience, very good. It's just that 1% that tends to let us down, Jared. So do pass this on to them. So we've also got some other dangers to be wary of, Jared. Any other dangers?
I'm not sure, you have to enlighten us.
Well, I understand that Queenie came a little bit cold. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Before Christmas we had a snake that came in from Europe, and the supplier seemed very good, but we understand that he was flipping that snake. So perhaps we can understand, perhaps you could explain why people flip snakes and why they shouldn't flip them, and what flipping actually means.
It's where people buy a snake for a cheap price.
Yes.
Or whatever price they want, see that there's something wrong and they don't want it anymore, and then sell it immediately after they've bought it for more money. Normally. Yeah,
these are people that don't really care about snakes, they just want to make a profit margin on these beautiful animals, and they are to be avoided. No time for flippers. They make me quite upset when I see that happening. So you have the occasional person that just wants to turn a quick profit on an animal, which is totally unethical in my view. So be wary of people out there that are selling snakes, particularly mature snakes, that you might have an interest in. They may be flipping them or selling them on behalf of someone else, and they're looking to make a profit. They don't really care about the transportation or the issues, and you end up with a cold snake. And we did get in touch with the person, and they didn't want to take responsibility, so in the end we had to nurse it back, and it's now in our collection, and fortunately it doesn't have any issues. It has started to eat, but it's taken us 2 months to get to this, and that's another issue to be wary of. Are there any other issues, Jared, that you can think of that we may have experienced in our short time?
Well, we talked about flipping, talked about getting things with diseases.
Yeah.
I guess there are people out there that will rip you off as well. So they might charge extortionate amounts for a snake that's not worth that much.
Yes, I have seen it. I have seen people inflate their prices and then make you feel like you've got a good deal coming away with a discount. In reality, the prices are inflated. So watch out for these kind of people too. Be wary of that.
Some people steal pictures from other breeders,
yes,
and claim them as their own, and then receive the money and never give you the snake.
Absolutely. And I've even heard stories that people have actually dyed snakes as well, which is very sad.
Dyed snakes?
They've actually dyed them bright colours to give the impression that they're intense.
Oh, that's another one as well, I guess. People edit their pictures on Morph Market to make it look like you're getting something unbelievable that's really not.
Yes. So these are very rare, as opposed to the norm. In our experience, most people handle things very up market and very good. And of course the other thing is that some people can try to ruin your reputation or try to attack your own little hobby business. And mainly that's fueled by jealousy and some of the evil powers that come from the lead ringers. So you're now looking at the criminal lead ringers that will attack and try to undermine the ethical breeders, because either they're a sense of jealousy or a sense of problems out there. And you need to be wary of those kind of people too, who will try to discredit you within the industry, because there are a few out there, unfortunately. So let me just show you in closing what we're going to encourage young Komodo is to build up a team to combat those 9 things. And as you'll see here, Jared, let's go through very quickly the team that I'd like you to help young Komodo to build. And these are the 9. There we go. You might be able to see those. Of course, I've included in that here Gandalf. So these are the 9 companions, the 9 Fellowship of the Ring that will help to defend and help Frodo on his mission. So you have Frodo, Gandalf, Pippin, Boromir, Aragorn, Legolas, Sam, Gimli and Merry. Each of them will have unique powers and unique help to help combat this incredibly difficult challenge that young Komodo will be setting himself. And then we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow